Greetings, my fellow nerds. Welcome back to Dees Nerds. I'm Chris.
And I'm Michelle.
And today we're going to be going through our must-watch movies for the Halloween season. Alright, so we've done a few videos here for the month of October centering around Halloween. Mainly, like recommendations of different subsets of films and whatnot. And we just kind of figured we'd do like an overall approach. Like, these are the must-watch films that during the Halloween season we have to go to. Now, we have a really broad bunch of films. I think it's going on like 160 different movies that we have that we would consider like Halloween movies for that time of year. But these are the ones that okay, every year we gotta watch them.
So one of my favorites is 1408. And it's based on a short story by Stephen King and stars John Cusack and Samuel L. Jackson. And this is one I think isn't super popular, but that I absolutely love. I came close to putting it in my Halloweenies movie, but then there's some parts of it that are pretty uncomfortable, so I didn't end up putting it in there. But I do love this movie.
And I did end up putting this one in one of our Stephen King adaptations video. So yeah, it's a fantastic movie. But I did kind of discuss in that one as well that the ending on the Blu-ray is different than the DVD that we had, but still doesn't stop me from enjoying the film.
Although it does kind of enrage me because I really liked the DVD ending better than the one you get on this. But
true. But if you want to look, you can look up and see what different endings there are on that one.
Yeah, there are multiple.
This one here is kind of, it's kind of all the films in this set pretty much. And we've, I think, featured this one on whenever I did a tour of our Scream Factory collection. But
and it was also in my Halloweenies video.
And also in the Halloweenies video. But the Vincent Price Collection Volume 1, The Pit and the Pendulum, Mask of the Red Death, The Haunted Palace, Fall of the House of Usher, definitely those first four films are, can't miss, must watch every Halloween season. But then also The Abominable Dr. Phibes and The Witchfinder General. And I think I've loved Vincent Price films since I was a kid. They were kind of part of that Universal Hammer horror kind of thing that were really, really popular. I remember being on TV a ton whenever I was a kid. But I turned you on to Vincent Price films whenever I got this first set. And just kind of, what was your experience with discovering Vincent Price?
Well, first of all, as an English teacher and someone who just loves books, I love Edgar Allan Poe, so getting to see some of those brought to life in some way was really cool, and then I just fell in love with Vincent Price in general. As I said in another video, he's a national treasure. That man is amazing.
Absolutely. The Pit and the Pendulum, I think that the ending of that by far is just... you're on the edge of your seat the whole time. And, The Mask of the Red Death, it's definitely a weird one.
It's bizarre.
It's bizarre, but it's still really good. The Haunted Palace is, and I think that one's sort of kind of based on a Poe story, but not really.
It's an H.P. Lovecraft story mixed with a Poe poem.
Okay, yeah, there you go. That English teacher, that's why I keep her around. So, but yeah, but that one's really good. And The Fall of the House of Usher, again, just marvelous. And also what we love about this as well is Vincent Price does intros. Back in the 80s, a PBS affiliate out of Iowa, I believe, got him to do these intros and kind of outros for these films. And so it's really cool to have him kind of intro the movie and then also give some wrap-up thoughts afterwards. And I know that they have, this set went out of print for a while, and it's recently come back in print. The good thing about it is you get I think an extended version of Mask of the Red Death, and the picture quality is a little better. It's a better version of that film, but you lose the intros. So to me, that was a huge deal. I know you love those as well.
I do, because he really reflects on sometimes the filmmaking process, sometimes how his experience was as an actor, and then also he talks sometimes about how the films were adapted from the stories that they're based on. So I think they're really interesting.
Yeah. So this set, I know we've already, I think, we're only got about a week left in October here whenever we're shooting this. We've already watched 4 of these, so yeah, it's can't miss.
Next up is an old favorite of mine, and that is The Ring.
When you die, you see the ring.
7 days. This movie is one that I still find really terrifying, although really interesting because it has a very sleuth feel to it.
Yeah.
And I think that's what keeps me watching it, because if it was just as terrifying as especially the last end scene or so, I don't think I would have kept watching it over and over again. But I really love this one, and I think it's a funny movie that I feel like kids are not going to get in the future because TVs don't do that anymore. They don't do the scrambly snow stuff.
Yeah. And plus, like, they're like, what's VHS? Like, it's like a completely foreign concept. I feel like our generation is like the last one that really gets this movie. But yeah, it has such a great feel to it. And I mean, there's some great performances in the film as well. And it's just a dreary, dark. Even in the daytime, it's like raining all the time. And but I mean, that was one I fell in love with as a teenager as well. It's fantastic.
I always think it's interesting because the whole movie looks like it's being lit by the blue glow of a TV in the dark room.
Boom. Yeah, exactly. So the next one I know has been featured in your Halloweenies video, but I mean, it's one that I just adore, and it's so fun to watch. It's a privilege to watch it. Zombieland. Oh, it's got all the gore, and it is scary in parts that make a great zombie movie with a self-awareness, I guess you'd call it meta kind of approach, and a comedy to it that is just, it's so funny in parts. And I mean, and that's always a great combination.
I think I'm in that movie for three things. The rules that he gives that are so horror movie applicable, even if it's not a zombie movie.
Don't tap.
Woody Harrelson.
Oh, Woody Harrelson. Tallahassee.
Bill Murray.
Yes, Bill Murray is. And I mean, we got to get, the four in that: Abigail Breslin, Emma Stone, Jesse Eisenberg, and Woody Harrelson. I mean, that quartet together, they have such great chemistry together. And it's awesome to watch them. I mean, I think the reason I was kind of reflecting on, because we were kind of talking about the It movies here not too long ago. And you were talking about how, that movie would be one you probably wouldn't watch, but it's the kids and the chemistry between them, and even the adults and the chemistry between them. I almost think, I'm going to ask you this question. Is this movie kind of in the similar kind of ballpark? Is that chemistry really save this movie for you?
I think it does, because I think without those people, I don't think I'd want to watch all the gross zombie parts.
Exactly. But, I mean, yeah, this one is, ever since I can't remember when this came out. I think it was like, 2009. Ever since then, I got it on Blu-ray, and I've loved it ever since.
So next up, we have the Alfred Hitchcock Masterpiece Collection. Now, not all of these would fall in kind of the Halloween category, but ones that we always like to watch that do are Psycho, The Birds, Rear Window, and Rope. I think Rope is probably the least known of that group, and it's awesome. So I definitely recommend giving that a watch if you've never seen it.
Yeah, Rope is just, it's basically, there's only like 2 cuts really in the whole movie, and it was essentially Alfred Hitchcock. It was an experiment for him. Could he make a movie with just one continuous shot? And he almost succeeded. I think he did 2 cuts. And yeah, so it's fantastic. And I know the first time we watched it, we were just like, holy smokes, this movie is like, you're on the edge of your seat.
Well, and I had seen it before that. But yeah, it's great because it's uncomfortable. I mean, it's not a scary movie at all, but it is an uncomfortable experience.
And Jimmy Stewart, what else can you say? I mean, Vincent Price is a national treasure. Jimmy Stewart is as well. And
I agree.
And then of course Psycho. I mean, probably the first slasher. I mean, you think about all, like the way the music was done, and the idea of killing women, kind of when they're in kind of precarious situations, and a monster that's not a monster kind of a thing. It was absolutely transformational for that genre. But I mean, what else can you say? It's just fantastic.
It really is. It's a surprising one, and definitely not one that's super mainstream, I don't think.
And then like Rear Window. I mean, I feel like there's so many tropes in that movie that
originated there.
And we talk about cliches. If you're the movie that invented that cliche, then it's not cliche. The ending especially is just so gripping. You're just like on the edge of your seat, which with most Hitchcock movies, that's what you do. And what was the last one there that we talked about?
Birds.
The Birds. Oh, even it amazes me the effects that they got away with in that film for it being the early 60s. It's terrifying.
There are still parts of that movie, even though I've seen it several times, that we get to it and I'm just I jump and cover my eyes. It's scary, which I don't like birds anyway. I didn't like birds before I saw that movie, and now I really don't like them.
Yeah. And I'll tell you a story. My mom, she hated this movie growing up, and my pa, he had a bird whistle, or a dog whistle. Sorry, he had a dog whistle, and she was so terrified of birds after that movie that anytime she would go out to play out in the yard or anything, she'd grab the dog whistle and like blow into it and get all the birds to scatter so she'd go out and play. That's how much it scared her as a little girl. And it still is very impactful. I mean, there's certain scenes where it's obvious the birds aren't as real, but I mean, it's still very impactful. And really, I mean, there's no score. It's kind of all these weird kind of effect sounds and everything. It's just so creepy, but it's still so effective. Hitchcock's a genius, absolute genius.
For sure. And going back to Psycho, you mentioned things growing up. I saw Psycho when I was probably 12 or 13 for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
I did not take a shower for weeks. I became a bath only girl for the longest time until my mom literally bought me a clear shower curtain so I would take a shower again.
You gotta see when Norman Bates is coming.
It is so scary.
But yeah, I mean, it's so scary, and it still works. That shower scene still works. It's great, fantastic. Our next one is The Craft. This one kind of snuck in. It's not one that I think is very apparent, and I do recognize that. Do I consider this one like a classic horror film or a Halloween film or anything? Not really. But I really enjoy watching it. I love putting it on, and it just kind of feels like a familiar kind of thing. And it's got some great performances, and it's kind of creepy in spots. And I really like this movie overall.
This is one that I remember watching in my bedroom as a teenager by myself, like late at night, and the ending scenes really terrifying me.
Yeah,
which I hate bugs and stuff, so that was like the worst.
And you were reading online that they were real snakes, real cockroaches, real bugs, and everything.
Yeah, they bred cockroaches specifically for the movie, and then had to have a closed set to make sure that the cockroaches that they bred didn't get out and like infest everything.
Yeah,
but it was all really there. They actually said that the girl who plays Nancy, Fairuza something.
Fairuza Balk.
Fairuza Balk. That for the scene where there's like bugs crawling on her face, that I guess they had put like a green screen sheet over her and let the bugs crawl on her with the green screen, and then filmed the same thing without the green screen, so they could actually have the movement of it going over her.
Oh wow, that's great. Ugh. But I mean, the four girls in this, Robin Tunney. I mean, she's gone on Tooney.
I don't know.
I think it's Robin Tunney. Sorry, I'm horrible with name pronunciation sometimes. But I mean, she's gone on to do quite a bit of stuff. Nev Campbell, of course. I mean, she's gone to do a lot of stuff.
We didn't know Rachel True from anything else off the bat,
and I'm sure she's been in something, but I just can't for the life of me remember. But I mean, like them together, just a lot of great chemistry. And I mean, Fairuza Balk, she's
terrifying.
She's terrifying. She's crazy in this one, and she pulls it off very well. But of course, I remember from like The Waterboy with Adam Sandler. She's great in that as well. But yeah, I mean, this film, it's a lot of fun. Is it the greatest film? No, but it's definitely a lot of fun.
So next up from my pile is the Dracula set for Universal Monsters.
Mm-hmm.
Although I don't actually know that I've watched any of the sequels in this box, Dracula is still my absolute favorite one of these. Mm-hmm. We talked about that in our rankings video for Universal Monsters, but I just love the performances in this. Renfield is fantastic. I think he's probably, to me, my favorite performance besides Bela Lugosi himself. And there's a guy in this that I always call the Ken doll. the Jonathan.
Yeah, Jonathan Harker, yeah.
Because to me, he always looks like the old school 60s Ken doll that I remember my mom having.
And and we talked about with this video, of course, we ranked the Universal Monsters. I think we could honestly say that all of the Universal Monsters, from the Creature, Frankenstein, the Mummy, Invisible Man, whichever, that they're definitely must watch. But we kind of wanted to pick one out of that set that's like, okay, that's like the one. If we could only watch one of those, which one is it? And that one's definitely it. It's, Bela Lugosi. He completely, I mean, where did the cliche come from? Right there, from his performance. So, I mean, and it's a creepy kind of film in that it was that or it was like right at the beginning of the sound era, so they hadn't really figured out things about like soundtrack and score, and so like it's mostly silent, and there's these passages where like he's creeping in and everything, and it's just completely dead quiet, and you're I mean that is it's very creepy in and of that itself. Now you do have to keep in mind it's the very early 30s, so they didn't really, I mean, it's really tame by today's standards, but overall, I mean, it's definitely got its creep factor.
I love it.
All right, this next one is a George Romero classic, but this is the remake of it, because one of these days I think we're going to have to do like our favorite remakes video, and I think this one would definitely make, because I think this one was really well done. The Crazies. Timothy Olyphant stars in this, and I mean, he's great in anything. I mean, I loved him in Live Free or Die Hard. I mean, and it's kind of a zombie movie without being a zombie movie kind of thing, I guess. I don't know. Would you count it as a zombie movie? I almost would.
Well, I think it's one of those that it's in a category kind of with other movies where it's a disease that has caused the zombie effect. It's not just like the dead waking.
But it's also like it's not a zombie movie in that like they're not like brain dead.
It's just like there's an urge to kill.
Yeah, it's like an urge to kill and be very violent. So but I mean, it's so creepy. Like like the scene here that this is depicting on the cover. I mean, that is very chilling because basically in this scene, what's happening is this is like at a facility where like a bunch of people are being kept that they think might have this virus. And this guy's coming in. I mean, this guy has that disease, and so he's carrying that pitchfork. And what these like, there's probably like a room of like 15 to 20 people, and they're all strapped down on a gurney, so they can't go anywhere. And this guy's coming in, and he's just like systematically like stabbing each one, and they can't do anything. So I mean, the idea of that, and you can't move, and it's coming. I mean, it's like the whole time it's just, and I think Timothy Olyphant's character's wife is one of the ones in that, as well as who else is in there?
Danielle Panabaker.
Danielle Panabaker. She's also a main character in this film, and they're both strapped in there, and so like this guy's making his way towards them. It's one of like like you're on the edge of your seat, like oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh.
It's really good.
Yeah, it's fantastic. But I mean, this one, I remember seeing the Romero movie in college of this, and it's really good. I don't know. I really like this one, though. It's a really good remake. I wish they would do a sequel.
They definitely left it open for one.
Yeah. Do it, please.
Next up is I think what's become one of my absolute favorites.
Yeah.
And it's The Woman in Black. I don't know if this one was particularly popular in theaters or anything. It was one of the very first things that Daniel Radcliffe did post Harry Potter. But I actually caught this one originally when I was looking for something to watch on Amazon Prime when I was actually at his parents' house without him. And we ended up watching it. And that, I swear, is the only movie I have ever watched where I literally screamed out loud while watching it. Scared
I wish I'd have been there.
Out of me.
I so wish I'd have been there.
It's definitely a movie that relies on its jump scares, but it's also a really good story. I think Daniel Radcliffe's performance in it is heartbreaking. It's just really good. It's really well done. I mean, and essentially the premise is that he's a lawyer who is going to take care of this estate and take care of all this paperwork that's in this huge mansion. And he has sort of recently lost his wife within the past 3 or 4 years and is still very devastated over that. And this is kind of his last chance to prove that he's still worth keeping at this law firm. So he's determined to do the job right. But everyone in this town that he goes to keeps telling him not to go. They keep trying to just send him home. And he's determined. And then, of course, the Woman in Black happens. It's a very well told story. It definitely, I think, has an element of that sleuth thing going on, which I think sometimes is what saves scary movies for me. And what's the other guy's name?
Ciarán Hinds.
Is that it? The one who plays Aberforth in...
Yeah. Ciarán... I'm horrible at pronouncing names, but yeah, Ciarán Hinds, yeah.
Yeah, he played Aberforth in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows.
He also played Steppenwolf in Justice League.
I keep forgetting that. But he's also really good in that. He's kind of the only one that's helpful to Daniel Radcliffe's character while he's on this journey. So I really enjoyed his character in this too.
Yeah, it's a creepy movie. It definitely has its jump parts. It's one thing to have jump scares. I mean, I know a lot of people will criticize jump scares. I think those can be really effective when the overall atmosphere is also effective and very creepy. And this is what this film does very well. The atmosphere in it just has this foreboding sense of just pure dread.
Well, and I think that there are some jump scenes, but then there are also some scenes when you're expecting something to happen and nothing does.
Mm-hmm.
There's this one particular scene where Daniel Radcliffe's sitting at night in this house going through some paperwork, and he just kind of sits back and like closes his eyes for a second, and like way in the background you just see this door open,
Mm-hmm.
and you see a woman standing there, and then they flip the camera so you're looking back from like where her perspective would be, and then there's this mirror up on the wall, and you just see her go toward him, and about that time something happens and he gets up and nothing happens. But I mean, it's so tense waiting to see because you're expecting something awful.
Yeah, and the ending too. I mean, we won't go into too many spoilers, but I mean, the ending, like it's kind of a gut punch.
Mm-hmm.
It's a gut punch, and I think I read this is based on a book, and I think we really need to read the book. It sounds really good, but apparently the book is even more of a gut punch. This one a lot of people I saw, like the main complaint was they felt like they pulled the punch a little too much. And it didn't quite go as bad as they could have. But yeah, it definitely ends. It doesn't end well. Let's just put it that way. So, but yeah, that's become definitely a new favorite.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so our last two are what I really believe that these two films kind of almost define Halloween today.
Mm-hmm.
In two completely different ways. One kind of on the family-friendly side, and one on the more horror thriller side. So we'll go with the horror thriller side first. And it is Halloween, right? So why not Halloween? John Carpenter's Halloween to be on point. It amazes me, this film is 42 years old, and it still works. It's still creepy. It still sets up characters that you care about, and then the last 20 to 30 minutes, that whole chase scene between Laurie Strode and Michael Myers is just fantastic. It is an absolute classic. I must watch during the Halloween season. How can you not watch Halloween on Halloween, right? And the great thing and the weird thing is, if you want to do like a double feature on Halloween night, you can watch Halloween 2, which takes place right after the events of Halloween 1. So if you want the whole Halloween story on that Halloween night, you can watch it. But then also, if you wanted to watch Halloween 2018, this is also considered a direct sequel to the first Halloween. So if you wanted a different storyline than what Halloween 2 in the early 80s did, you can do it that way. But I mean, I adore this franchise today. We're going to be doing a ranking video here since Halloween's on a Saturday, we upload on Thursdays and Saturdays. We're going to be uploading that on Saturday so you can enjoy on Halloween. So, but I know that this was one that I showed you when we first started dating.
Yeah, I had never watched any of these before. It was kind of out of my wheelhouse, I guess. Mm-hmm. And I really, really enjoy the first and second one. We've worked our way through this whole box set, so I think our ranking video will be quite the wild ride. But
oh yeah, it's going to be wild.
But there are definitely some
interesting choices.
Yes, some interesting artistic choices. I think that's the most diplomatic way I can put that.
A big steaming pile of never mind. In certain cases. And I love this franchise to death. It's definitely my favorite slasher franchise. You were expecting me to actually say it, didn't you?
No, I wasn't. So that brings us to our very last movie, which is all over the place these days, and that is Hocus Pocus.
I think it's actually required you're not an American citizen unless you like this film. So I think that's the way it works now.
It honestly blows my mind because I grew up watching this film when I was little, and I thought it was the best thing ever. And I honestly did not know that this many people loved this movie until the past few years, when I feel like I can't look at anything from like mid-September to the end of October and see that everywhere on t-shirts on Facebook that people are selling, in Funko Pops now. They sell a set of them, you know, different, the movie itself. They're coming out with a sequel now. They've shared a sneak peek of the three sisters together doing, I guess, like a screen test or something. Yeah, it's everywhere. Blows my mind.
I really enjoy this film, but it is literally everywhere. And like she said, I mean, I can't go on social media. I can't go Halloween, you know, Freeform. I swear they run it like 13 times during the month of October.
That and Harry Potter marathons.
I swear, it's become like the Mariah Carey "All I Want for Christmas Is You" of Halloween time. It's everywhere, and like it starts getting into to the back half of September, and it's like it's creeping up, just like Mariah Carey. You start having people like, hey, Hocus Pocus time. It's like August. You're freaking me out. Like, and it's the same thing with Mariah Carey. "All I Want for Christmas Is You." You know, like, you get to November 1st, I'm gonna start hearing it. It's just that way. Now, I'm not criticizing that. It's clear it's a great movie, and I enjoy watching this movie. We watched it great, and it's a great movie, but man, it's everywhere. It's amazing the things that really take off, especially the things that, you know, like it came out, it was a hit, you know, back in the day, but like now it's like taking on this like really mythic status.
Well, and I think now with Disney Plus too, it just got a new breath of life because everyone's just streaming it like crazy.
Yeah, and so, but I mean, it deserves it. This film really deserves it. It's a great film.
It does. And you have to give kudos to the three main actresses in that because they're phenomenal and hilarious.
And I guess you didn't realize that Kathy Najimy.
No, I did not realize that was Peggy Hill from King of the Hill. Did you know that? Because I did not know that.
Yeah, and do you hate her more now? Because I know you do not like Peggy Hill on that show.
I do not.
No one likes Peggy Hill.
But I do not hate her. It's not her fault because I also love her in Sister Act.
Yeah.
So it's just Peggy Hill. It's all Peggy Hill's fault.
Hocus Pocus is, in my opinion, the most popular movie during the Halloween season. I'm sorry. All right, and scene. All right, so hey, that's it. That's our recommendations. Those are our must-watch films for the Halloween season. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please let us know what your must-watch films during this time of year are. We'd love to get some new recommendations. As well, please subscribe to our channel. You know, we love what we're doing here at Dees Nerds, and we're two nerds on one channel just talking about the nerdy things we love. So subscribe, ring the bell icon so you know whenever we have new videos coming out. Also, we're on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. We're on, I guess, the big three now. We're not going to probably do TikTok. Nobody wants to see us dance. But yeah, please follow us on those three platforms. We're posting content there pretty much daily. Also, we're up to 118 subscribers. Thank you guys so much. It's just been a blast doing this and watching those numbers creep up. Now, honestly, like I said before, I didn't think we'd get 100 in the first 2 years, and we've gotten 118 in nearly 6 months. So, guys, appreciate all the kind comments and everything, the great encouragement to keep doing this. It's definitely been a blast so far. So, until next time, I'm Chris.
And I'm Michelle.
And we are Dees Nerds, and you guys have a great, happy Halloween.
Bye.